is News 12 First at 5.
First at 5, as the community continues mourning the loss of a city employee, we're looking into the dangers that involve being a code enforcement officer.
And former USC athletes holding a meeting urging the school to rename one of its fitness centers as a petition gains more than 20,000 signatures.
But first up, we're learning the Richmond County Marshal's Office was at the home of 65-year-old Smitty Melton just 2 days before he allegedly shot and killed a Richmond County code enforcement officer. The reason, partially that junk car. Officer Charles Case had also reportedly been to the property several times before to look for Melton about condemning the home.
And we're learning today Case was only there yesterday to put a sticker on the house. Sydney Heiberger spoke to the marshal about the risk and responsibilities that come with being a code enforcement officer.
Code enforcement officers rarely bring good news. That's why city leaders tell me whenever they go onto someone's property, it's inherently risky, especially when they're not allowed to carry weapons with them. But Officer Case's job yesterday shouldn't have even really required human interaction. The Richmond County Marshal tells me Officer Case was posting a sticker on a condemned property, something that would normally be quick and easy. Code enforcement officers are not considered law enforcement, so they're not allowed to be armed. With that being said, they do work closely with the Richmond County Marshal's Office, who are sworn peace officers and are therefore allowed to carry weapons. But yesterday, Officer Case was alone.
Anytime you go on somebody's property, I mean, it can be dangerous. But you never know. I mean, with this job, I mean, every day you go to work, you just never know what happens.
Because of the risks associated with code enforcement, some city leaders tell me they think it's time to revisit the way code enforcement operates. Tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we talk about some of their ideas and where they think the department should go from here. In Augusta, Sydney Heiberger on your side.
As for Smitty Melton, he is awaiting extradition back to Georgia from Aiken County to face those charges.
Today, Governor Henry McMaster is calling on DHEC to issue guidance to resume visitation in nursing homes and assisted living facilities across South Carolina. He made the request in a letter to the Department of Health today. In it, he writes the lack of visitation has caused problems for patients and their families. He believes the state has made enough progress to allow in-person visitation to resume. Looking at coronavirus cases across the two states, South Carolina reporting under 1,000 new cases this afternoon and more than 50 deaths. The state just under 110,000 cases. In Georgia, nearly 3,000 new cases and more than 90 deaths today. Right now, Georgia's total case number sits at almost 250,000.
Just after 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, a lot of people getting off work as we speak. Riley, let's talk about today and the weekend.
Hey, Richard, it's not looking too bad for us. A lot of cloud covers keeping us cooler than average this afternoon, and most of the rain is staying north of the CSRA. So if you have any evening plans, maybe lighten up the grill for dinner, you're looking good to go. Should actually be very comfortable for us. We do have one little tiny shower and downpour in McCormick County. This is just passed over Clarks Hill. Places like Parkville, Plum Branch, you likely just saw a quick little shower. Same thing in McCormick. But this is moving into northern Edgefield County next, so you may get clipped there in Pleasant Lane. But for us here around the metro, overall, not expecting much in the way of showers and storms this evening. Heading into the overnight, we should see our temperatures mainly drop to the upper 60s and low 70s by daybreak Saturday. Through this evening and tonight, still can't rule out an isolated shower storm for areas north of Augusta. That appears to be where our highest rain chances are through this evening up until around midnight. After that, we do look dry. We'll have a look at storm chances for your weekend in just a little bit.
Thanks, Riley. New today, students at Augusta University will have a longer Thanksgiving break this year. AU is adjusting its school calendar to reflect the Masters Week changes. The university had previously announced a fall break from November 9th through the 13th, but now classes will be in session that week. Thanksgiving break has been moved to November 23rd through the 27th.
Columbia County schools have released their latest coronavirus cases, and we have a closer look at that. The district is now releasing their numbers for the week every Friday. The county reporting 23 students and 9 employees with a current positive COVID-19 status. That is less than 1% of total students and staff at Columbia County schools. For a breakdown of each school, you can head to our website.
The coronavirus pandemic is affecting many people financially, so shopping for back-to-school supplies may be difficult for some families, especially with added items like cleaning supplies and hand sanitizer now on the list.
Kennedy Harris spoke with one organization that's helping make the start of school a little easier.
With just a little over the week before the start of school in Aiken County, parents are stocking up on supplies, and one local group is stepping in to help out. The National Retail Association says this year, on average, they expect parents to spend $93 more per family for back-to-school supplies. Added costs like cleaning supplies, sanitizers, and masks are making this year's expenses a little wider. True to Your Soul is a nonprofit in Aiken. They hold a school supply drive every year, but this year, due to COVID-19, they're bringing the supplies straight to the schools.
This is actually our 9th year, but due to COVID, we had to kind of change it up. So we kind of brainstormed throughout the entire summer, like how can we still give back to the community. And one of the ways that we wanted to do it is we said, hey, how about we just go to different schools? So we just pulled up a list of all the schools in Aiken County, and we just did a random order, and then after that, we just started selecting schools.
They've already given out supplies to 2 schools, and today they delivered supplies to Wrdw Elementary. With over 1,500 supplies collected thus far, they say they won't stop anytime soon. And coming up at 6 o'clock on News 12, hear why they say giving out supplies this year was even more special, and why the principal of Warrenville says the supplies were much needed. In Aiken, Kennedy Harris, on your side.
Affordability and smaller student bodies, just 2 of the reasons students are choosing to attend a technical college. Some students in South Carolina who normally would have attended a 4-year college are opting to stay home and go to a nearby technical school because of the pandemic. Some say they're not anticipating a large increase in enrollment, but they've spoken with plenty of students and families who've made that decision to attend a technical college at least for this semester.
I'm barely going to the school as it is, so it might as well be the other college. So yeah, I think it was the right choice. And we don't know what the next couple of months hold, so it's better I made this than try the other school.
Technical colleges, like other schools in the higher education institutions, are anticipating a drop in overall enrollment this semester, but some say they are still enrolling students at the moment.
Former University of South Carolina athletes are urging school leaders to rename a building named after Senator Strom Thurmond. The Black student athlete alumni discussed why they want the change during a news conference this morning. After that, they headed into a formal meeting with university officials that is still going on. Several former athletes have shown their support for renaming the fitness center, including women's basketball star Asia Wilson and football players Alshon Jeffrey and Marcus Lattimore. Head basketball coach John Staley spoke alongside students this morning.
Now is a time that, calls for change. Changes in which impact the people who are standing behind me. Change that impacts the people who used to live here, used to live on these grounds.
Strom Thurmond ran for president in 1948 on a platform opposing integration. He would later go on to oppose the Civil Rights Act of 1964. A name change would require the General Assembly to override the Heritage Act, which requires a 2/3 vote.
A USC football coach responding to allegations he was racially insensitive during his 5 years as head coach at Colorado State. Mike Bobo also played and coached at Georgia. He says he has nothing to hide. In a virtual press conference today, Bobo said he's been transparent throughout the entire investigation. He says during his time in Colorado, he wishes he could have done things differently. Members of the USC staff say they support Bobo, but the team says their focus right now is on the upcoming football season. Some parents from across the Big Ten schools have been gathering in front of the conference headquarters in Illinois. The Big Ten was the first Power 5 conference to postpone its fall sports this year because of the pandemic. Today, parents are protesting the decision and calling on Conference Commissioner Kevin Warren to be more transparent about how they came up with that decision. They're also asking for more information about what this means going forward for their students as the conference considers a spring season.
I know all of us here are just here because we respect the Ohio State University. Of course, we're very happy that everyone else came out here as well. We just want to have some answers for the kids because the young men, because they have really done what they've been asked, and so now they're just trying to understand what happened.
The Pac-12 followed behind the Big Ten and paused its fall sports as well, while the other 3 Power 5 conferences said they will move ahead with a fall sports calendar. It was a story that rocked the nation. 6-year-old Faye Sweatlick vanished from her front yard of her South Carolina home and was found dead 3 days later. Now, 6 months later, people are still honoring Faye's memory. Rocks for Faye, the woman who started that, knew Faye loved art and collecting rocks and She created a page. You could paint or write something kind or inspirational on a rock. Shortly after Faye's death, the rock started traveling around the state and then around the world.
She gets stamps, all over her passport, and she gets to just continue to travel on a never-ending journey.
Coming up September 22nd, these benches will be dedicated in Faye's memory. One will be placed at Springdale Park near Faye's Elementary School.
After missing the entire summer blockbuster season, some movie theaters are reopening this weekend, but it won't be like you remember. Coming up, what's changing at our local theaters.
Well, we did receive Tropical Storm Laura earlier this morning in updates, and we'll take a look at where Laura's expected to go coming up.
In this crisis,
Riverwatch Cinema reopened their doors today for the first time since the pandemic forced movie theaters to close all across the country. Just another sign some things might be slowly returning to normal.
After initiating health and safety precautions, dozens of theaters across the country are opening their doors this weekend for the first time in months. Raphael Seth reports.
It has been a roller coaster ride for moviegoers and movie showers during the global lockdown. But after closing right before the summer blockbuster season, Regal and AMC theaters are now rolling out the red carpet cautiously.
We need to make sure that our theaters are safe and that the public can be confident that if they come into our theaters, they'll be safe when they do.
AMC CEO Adam Aaron says the company has instituted a wide range of cleaning protocols to ensure that safety, making the days of sticky movie theater floors a thing of the past.
We simply cannot afford to operate our theaters unless you can eat off the floor.
Many films opted for in-home releases rather than wait out the virus.
Having a kind of a hard time lately. I'm sorry.
But unhinged star Russell Crowe says this week's theatrical release of his film is a positive for fans.
They're reaching towards a normalcy that they're missing.
Some moviegoers are taking their own precautions.
I chose seats for us in the back row so no one can cough on us. And it seems like they have all the protocols in place, so we wanted to get the first show in, and see how it goes from there.
The real test of fandom comes next month.
Tenet obviously is the one that everybody is focused on that opens September 3.
That Christopher Nolan film was expected to be one of the year's biggest, but some wonder, regardless of the star power, is it worth the risk?
In tough times, people do need to be amused and entertained and to escape. Going to a movie theater is one of the things that makes life worth living.
He does make a good point about that. And to get fans warmed up for Tenet, a lot of theaters this week are showing another Christopher Nolan classic, Inception. So they're trying to get people to come back and trust that they're doing a good job in cleaning up that space.
I can only imagine when Tenet does come out how packed the movie theater is going to be.
Right, and I guess the masks should be required and the hand washing and all the rest, but they're trying to make a comeback.
Guess we'll see. Some other now as we take a look over Wheeler Road. Riley, storms are on the way, I'm assuming.
Actually, this is a rare day, Zaina, where we actually don't have a lot of storms heading our way this evening, surprisingly. Luckily, the front to our north is keeping most of that shower activity mainly north of the CSRA. We've been tracking some spotty downpours throughout this morning and today, but overall through this evening, not looking too bad. I'm going to take off our upper level winds from the map. That's what's overriding this front and producing all this rain north of us. But if you look to our south through central and southern Georgia, there's not a lot going on, and that's what would be next in line for us. So for this evening and tonight, not looking like we're going to see too much in the way of rainfall. It is expected to stay fairly cloudy, though. The only downpour we're currently tracking now moving east of McCormick, heading towards that Edgefield County line. So that's a pretty rural stretch of area there in the CSRA, but could affect a few spots as it does pass by. Still can't rule out an isolated pop-up downpour for areas north of I-20. That appears to be where rain chances are going to be highest through this evening. Everybody should remain dry after midnight. Your storm chances on Saturday are going to be there once again, mainly for later afternoon into the evening, and they will be hit and miss. So I would keep your outdoor plans on Saturday. If you stay in one spot throughout the day Saturday, you're only expecting rain for maybe 30 to 45 minutes as it passes on through. So I wouldn't cancel outdoor plans. If you have to get any yard work done, I'd definitely try to get in earlier in the day when it's a little bit cooler. We are expecting a good bit of cloud cover throughout the day on Saturday, similar to what we saw out there today. So it should be nice, actually, to get outside. Same thing for the weekend. Just make sure you have your WRDW Weather Alert Team app ready to go. That'll alert you if anything is too strong nearby. And you can also pull up the interactive radar and just keep an eye near your location if any storms are getting close. We are keeping an eye on Tropical Storm Laura. This is moving west at about 17 miles per hour. This eventual path of Laura is expected to interact a good bit with Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, and Cuba as well, all the way through the weekend into early next week. So whenever these systems interact with land, it really prevents them from strengthening all too much. They really like the warm, open ocean. So once this storm does get over the Gulf of Mexico, that's when we're anticipating to strengthen possibly into a Category 1 hurricane before potentially making landfall in the middle of next week. So let's look at Wednesday afternoon, and you can see that cone of uncertainty. It's about a 450-mile stretch on where this storm could be based on model consensus. So there is still some room for this to shift a little bit, and we will likely see it shift over the next few days. But as of right now, all model consensus keeps that storm well west of the CSRA. Our storm chances next week looking pretty good most afternoons, and high temperatures just remaining near 90.
Riley, thank you. We all know the coronavirus has taken a toll on our day-to-day lives, but one local woman still has hope, and we're going to show you what she's been doing to keep her mind off the pandemic.
To keep informed with the latest happening near you.
One local woman is using her job to pass time during the pandemic.
Yes, she is. Wrdw introduces us to the lady who's spreading positivity and staying active while dancing her way through all this.
For some people, dance is life.
I teach street jazz, hip hop.
Mayan Lidi is a dance teacher at the North Augusta School of Dance.
And play.
At the beginning of the pandemic, they were forced to close their doors. She says it was frustrating not being able to move or dance, especially when trying to adjust to the new normal.
So sharing with someone your emotions, all that, I think it's very important. A lot of people got depressed during the pandemic and staying home, so that was important to share with them.
She says when you're on the dance floor, nothing else matters. It not only makes you feel good, but it's also healthy for your mind and body.
Body is moving, so you produce endorphins, and your mind is somewhere else, okay? Your mind is focused on the routines, the steps, the teacher, so you forget about your problems. It makes me feel good, and I want other people to feel good too.
She says it's a quick workout while having fun, and I couldn't agree more. Wrdw, on your side.
Was that Tradition down there?
Yes,
Far left?
talent. Yes, talent all throughout the dance floor, including Wrdw. I wanted to join in. I'm a little jealous.
That did look like fun. You know, she makes a good point. Get up, get active, and forget about your troubles. All right, Riley.
Hey, high temperatures today stay pretty cool. Definitely cooler than average thanks to the cloud cover. And Saturday should be just the same with highs generally in the 80s for us. But no, look at that 7-day coming out.
Now.
All right, here's a look at your community calendar. Tonight at 6, you can head over to the Le Chat Noir in downtown Augusta for the 6th Annual International Independent Film Festival. Festival passes are $50, and they are extremely limited, so definitely get them while they last. Should be a great time out there tonight. We are expecting generally dry conditions here for the metro. Now, there is going to be the opportunity for a stray shower storm for areas along and north of I-20, so there is going to be that opportunity up until around sunset, but after midnight, most of us are looking fairly dry. Saturday morning, we're expected to wake up to some patchy fog, likely some low-level cloud cover as well. Expected to see a good bit of clouds throughout the day on Saturday, and that should help keep our high temperatures generally in the 80s. Now, the high temperature tomorrow will be highly dependent on how much clouds we see. If you see a lot of sun in the afternoon, you can say goodbye to the 80s. We'll likely be at least into the low 90s. There's going to be the chance for a few passing storms Saturday, but it definitely doesn't look like a washout. I would keep your outdoor plans for the weekend. Just the best way to stay on top of the storms nearby is with that WRDW Weather Alert Team app. Storm chances going up later next week. High temperatures remaining near 90.
The news continues here on News 12. We'll be back in 3 minutes.